Have you ever met a man who never chases, never begs for attention, never texts first 3 times in a row, and somehow everyone still wants to be around him? Not because he's cold, not because he doesn't care. Something else is happening in his mind, and once you understand it, you'll never look at confidence the same way again. Today we're breaking down the real psychology behind men who don't chase women. Not the fake, performative version you see in dating advice videos. The actual mental wiring behind it, the healthy side of it, the unhealthy side of it, and how to tell which one you're actually looking at. By the end, you'll understand something that applies to every relationship in your life, not just romantic ones. Let's start with the biggest myth. Most people think men who don't chase are just naturally confident, like it's a personality trait they were born with. But psychologists who study attachment and self-worth found something different. It's not confidence that creates this behavior. It's something called internal validation. Here's the simple version. Some people build their sense of worth from the outside. A text back, a compliment, someone chasing them first. Their mood depends on whether someone else gives them attention. Other people build their worth from the inside. Their value doesn't move depending on who replies to them. Think of self-worth like a house. Some houses are built on sand, right next to the ocean. Every wave, every little rejection, shakes the whole foundation. Other houses are built on solid rock. The waves still come, they just don't move the house. Men who don't chase have usually built their house on rock, and that changes everything about how they act. Now, here's where it gets interesting. There's a concept in psychology called the mere exposure effect crossed with scarcity, and it explains why chasing often backfires. When something is always available, our brain quietly downgrades its value. Not because it's actually less valuable, but because our brain is lazy and uses availability as a mental shortcut for worth. It's the same reason people don't notice the sun until an eclipse happens. A man who's always available, always responding fast, always the one initiating, is unintentionally teaching the other person's brain that he requires zero effort to keep around. And our minds, weirdly, don't fully appreciate things that require zero effort. Let's talk about the positive side of this first, because there is a real, healthy version of not chasing, and it's worth understanding clearly. On the healthy side, not chasing usually comes from something psychologists call a secure sense of self. This means a person's mood, identity, and daily functioning don't depend on whether one specific person likes them back. If she responds, great. If she doesn't, life goes on. That stability isn't fake, it's earned, often through years of learning that rejection is uncomfortable, but survivable. This version of not chasing tends to come with real warmth. He still shows interest, he still puts in effort, he still communicates clearly, he's just not frantic about it. There's a calmness that other people can actually feel, and calmness, interestingly, is contagious. Psychologists call this emotional co-regulation. Our nervous systems pick up on the emotional state of people around us. Someone who feels grounded tends to make the people around them feel more grounded too. There's also a quieter benefit here that most people miss. Men who don't chase tend to make decisions from clarity instead of anxiety. When you're not desperately trying to keep someone from leaving, you actually see them more clearly. You notice red flags instead of ignoring them. You notice compatibility instead of overlooking it because you're just relieved someone is paying attention to you. Chasing often blinds people to reality. Not chasing tends to protect it. And here's a surprising research finding. Studies on relationship satisfaction have found that couples where both partners feel like equals, rather than one person constantly pursuing and the other constantly being pursued, report higher long-term satisfaction. Balance, not chasing, is what actually predicts happiness over time. So that's the bright side. Real peace, real clarity, real magnetism, because people are naturally drawn to steadiness. But now let's talk about the other side. Because not chasing isn't automatically healthy, and pretending otherwise would be dishonest. Sometimes, I don't chase is a mask, not a confident one, a protective one. There's a difference between a man who doesn't chase because he feels secure and a man who doesn't chase because he's terrified of vulnerability. On the surface, they look almost identical, calm, unbothered, hard to read, but underneath, one is at peace, and the other is quietly avoiding intimacy altogether. This connects to something called avoidant attachment. People with this pattern often learned, somewhere early in life, that needing someone is risky. Maybe their emotional needs weren't met consistently. Maybe closeness was followed by disappointment often enough that their brain started treating intimacy like danger. So instead of leaning in, they keep distance. Not out of strength, out of self-protection. Here's the tricky part, and it's honestly a little unsettling. Both the secure man and the avoidant man get admired for the exact same behavior from the outside. He's so calm, he doesn't need anyone. He's a real man, he doesn't chase. But one of them is genuinely fine, and the other is running a very sophisticated defense system without even realizing it. There's also a darker version of not chasing that isn't about fear at all. It's strategic. Some men learn, consciously or not, that withholding attention makes people chase them instead. This isn't self-respect. This is a tactic. And when this becomes the main way someone relates to others, it stops being psychology and starts being manipulation. Psychologists sometimes describe this as intermittent reinforcement, the same mechanism that makes slot machines addictive. Give attention sometimes, withhold it other times, and the unpredictability keeps the other person hooked, chasing harder for the same amount of affection they used to get consistently. This is the uncomfortable truth nobody puts in the highlight reel. Not chasing can be wisdom. It can also be a weapon. And from the outside, they can look exactly the same. So how do you actually tell the difference? Watch consistency, not distance. Secure men are calm and also warm. They show up. They follow through. They communicate honestly. Even when things get slightly uncomfortable, they just don't panic if a text goes unanswered for a day. Avoidant men are calm, but distant. The moment things start feeling emotionally real, they pull back. Closeness itself becomes the trigger, not just fear of rejection. You'll notice a pattern of getting close, then sudden coldness, then close again. That push and pull is a signal. Manipulative non-chasers are calm, but inconsistent on purpose. Warmth appears right when you're about to give up, then disappears again once you're rehooked. If the timing of someone's affection always seems to arrive exactly when you're pulling away, that's not coincidence. That's a pattern. Here's something almost nobody talks about, and it applies to the positive side again. Psychologists have found that perceived effort matters more than actual effort in how attracted we feel to someone. A man who occasionally shows small, genuine effort without constantly chasing is often seen as more attractive than one who's either completely absent or completely available all the time. The sweet spot isn't never care. It's care without desperation. This is sometimes called the paradox of pursuit. The less someone needs your approval, the more naturally people want to give it to them. Not because absence creates value on its own, but because it signals something deeper. This person has a full life. This person isn't waiting around for someone else to complete them. And that's genuinely magnetic in almost every kind of relationship. Friendships, business, family, not just romance. But remember, that magnetism only stays healthy when it's paired with honesty and warmth. The moment I don't chase becomes a strategy to control how someone else feels. It stops being confidence and starts being control. Now, let's bring rejection into this, because it explains a lot. Researchers who study rejection sensitivity found that people who fear rejection the most are often the ones who chase the hardest. It feels backwards, but think about it. If losing someone feels like losing a piece of yourself, your brain panics and pushes you to chase, to fix, to prove your worth before they leave. Men with genuinely low rejection sensitivity don't chase, not because they don't care about people, but because rejection doesn't threaten their entire identity. If someone walks away, it stings, but it doesn't shatter them. This connects to something called an internal locus of control, which is just a fancy way of asking, where do you believe your happiness comes from? Inside you or outside events? People with a strong internal locus of control think, my worth exists whether this works out or not. People with an external locus of control think, if this doesn't work out, something is wrong with me. Can you guess which one leads to chasing behavior and which one leads to calm detachment? Exactly. The external one chases. The internal one doesn't need to. So what does all of this mean for you, watching this right now? If you find yourself constantly chasing people, whether that's romantically or in friendships, it's worth asking a quiet question. Is my sense of worth coming from inside me? Or is it borrowed from whether someone else responds? And if you're someone who naturally doesn't chase, it's worth checking your own motivation too, honestly and without judgment. Is it peace? Is it fear wearing a calm face? Or, if you're willing to admit it, is it a strategy you've learned works on people? None of these answers make you broken. Self-awareness is the entire point here. Let's bring it all together. On the healthy side, men who don't chase have usually built their identity on something steadier than someone else's response. Their calm isn't a trick. It's the natural result of not needing external proof to feel valuable. That calm creates clarity, attracts people naturally, and tends to build relationships that are more balanced and more satisfying over time. On the unhealthy side, that same calm can come from a much quieter, more protective place, where closeness itself feels unsafe, or worse, from a deliberate pattern designed to keep someone else hooked and uncertain. And the only real way to tell the difference is by watching whether that calm comes with warmth and consistency, or with walls and unpredictable timing. Here's the thought I want to leave you with. The goal was never to learn how to not chase people. The real goal is to build a version of yourself that doesn't need to, one where your calm comes from genuine security, not fear. And definitely not from playing games with someone else's emotions. If this helped you understand yourself, or someone in your life, a little better, consider subscribing to Momentum Psyche. There's a lot more of the human mind we haven't unpacked yet.